Hello, everybody.
Wait. Autobots, roll out. Sam, where is the cube?
Calling all Autobots. This is Optimus Prime. Any audio discrepancies you hear is the Decepticons interfering with our broadcast. You have been warned.
Autobots, roll out. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Al Pacino's Prison Scene, the podcast where we watch movies that don't mean anything and we think about it. And today we have one of my favorite movies of all time. We are discussing Transformers.
All right, Jake, since you commandeered my intro, you also have to do the recap.
Okay, alright.
So, good luck.
Oh, shoot. Are we doing it right now?
Yeah.
Recap? Okay, alright. So it starts out with Frank Oz doing a little before man. It talked about the cube and stuff, the all spark. Um, I don't know if I can do this, Thomas.
You don't know if you can do the recap?
Yeah.
Just tell us what happens in the movie.
Uh, and then like there's Sam, who's in school and he wants an A, and he's selling his great grandfather's stuff, Captain Archibald Witwicky. The ice is breaking. The ice is melting faster. Wait, no. The ice is freezing faster than it's breaking. All right, finds Megatron, turns him on. Then go back to Sam, and Sam gets a car, but it's Bumblebee. But we don't know it's Bumblebee yet. But we assume it's Bumblebee because we're all fans of Transformers. And then Bumblebee runs away, sends the message out to space. All the Transformers come. All the Autobots come. Right? And then they look for the glasses. They find the glasses, but Barton Fink, or whatever his name is.
John Turturro.
Yeah, John Turturro finds him, and he's like, criminals are hot. And then Optimus rips the roof off of the car, and then he takes his pants off, and then they take Bumblebee away. And Ironhide's like, we can't let them do that to Bumblebee. And Optimus is like, they're humans. It's our fault, not theirs. And then there's also Secretary of Defense Keller and the little Australian girl and the other guy Glenn. They're doing some stuff too, decrypting like all the Transformer noises. And then they meet up at the Hoover Dam. And then there's NBE-1, aka Megatron. That's what they call him. And then they find the Allspark, and Bumblebee walks up to it and is all like, ooh, boo, 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 boo. And it gets real small, and then he gives it to Sam. And then they go, and they get attacked by Decepticons. There's a bunch of fighting. Awesome, epic action scenes. And then they're in the city, and there's Tyrese Gibson, and then the Matt Damon poser.
Josh Duhamel.
Yeah. And then they fight some more, and Optimus is like, Sam, if we fail to kill Megatron, you must insert the cube into my chest so I can sacrifice myself. And then they fight. Bumblebee gets his legs blown off. Megan Fox ties him up to a tow truck. They kill the tank. Take the tank Decepticon. Then Sam falls because he's on the roof. And Megatron's like, I smell you! I smell your fear! And then Optimus is like, Sam! And then they fall down the building. And then they fight, and Optimus gets beat up real bad. And then he's like, Sam, put the cube into my chest. But then he looks at Megatron and goes to give it to Megatron, and Optimus is like, no, Sam! And then he puts it in Megatron's chest, and he dies. And then
Yay.
Sam makes out on top of Bumblebee with Megan Fox, and for some reason, all of the other Autobots are there, and Optimus is just talking to himself like, "I send out this message to any other Autobots scouring the universe. We are home." And then Linkin Park's "What I've Done" is playing, and the end.
Yep. So, full disclosure, I fell asleep twice when I was watching this,
Thomas.
and it's not the movie's fault. It's because the night before I'd only got like an hour of sleep, and I was watching this at like 10 o'clock. So I did rewind it and rewatch the parts that I fell asleep in, but I did fall asleep twice. And so, with that in mind, and with the fact that this is one of Jake's favorite movies, this is going to be a very interesting episode
Well,
today.
okay. Well, also let me full disclosure on my part too. I was a little zooked watching this. We were out in the living room, and Angela and Lucas were watching Impractical Jokers, and
At
I
the
was
same
watching
time,
it. Yes, but I had headphones on, so I was watching it. We have the two TVs in the living room, and so they were watching it on one, and then I was watching Transformers on the other. But every now and then, I would look over at Impractical Jokers, and I would forget that I was watching Transformers, but I would also start analyzing Impractical Jokers and go to write stuff down, and then that's what I would remember. I was supposed to be watching Transformers.
so the takeaway from today's episode is that Murr is tonight's biggest loser. But beyond that, so Transformers for me, first of all, this was a good movie. I was surprised by how much I liked this movie. That being said, I've never been a big fan of Transformers. I've never really watched any of the cartoons, and the movie franchise as a whole, I don't really like. However, I think the third one's actually pretty good.
You said
But
the
we're not,
third one?
yeah, Dark of the Moon. But we're not here to talk about that one. We're here to talk about the first one. And I was surprised. There's actually some pretty, I think, overt commentary in here.
Okay,
Uh,
so I agree. Um, I think this. Okay, for me, it's the exact opposite. I love Transformers so much. I love all of them. I watched the show. I watched a lot of the shows, including the original. What was it, 1980s show?
I think so.
And then there was one in the early 2000s that I watched also. But see, going into this, I love this movie. Coming out of it, I understood that it was bad, but coming out of it now, I'm like, wow, this movie is so bad because there's so many things that just like don't they just don't add up.
Okay. Like
Um,
what?
just number one, why does Megan Fox? Why does she get in the car the first time?
Like when she's like walking home?
Yeah,
Uh, His plot? I don't know.
there's other things I was watching during. I was like, wait, why does this work? Or it doesn't work, but why? It's like why is this
Well,
what they do?
I do have a question about the plot. And they might have explained this because, again, I was basically asleep for the whole second half. But the Allspark creates life, but it only turns things into Decepticons. Why doesn't it turn
Yes.
things into
Okay.
Autobots?
Yes. Yeah, that was one of the things I was thinking about too. And so, does that imply that the Transformers are inherently evil?
Or is it like creation, uh, like kind of like, in the Bible, Adam and Eve takes the apple. Like,
Yeah.
when people, not just Transformers, but like species, are inherently evil, and it's up to us to become something better.
Yeah.
Because like Optimus does have that line where he's like, "Yeah, yeah, humans are savages, rah, rah, but they can be
No,
better,"
no,
or
no.
something like that.
Let me. Humans are savages.
And he's like, "They're not. They're humans are the same as us, you know."
Oh, I got it right here. Actually, I wrote it down. Um, it's Ironhide says they're a primitive and violent species. Something else, and then Optimus goes, "Were we so different?"
So then, like, maybe since the Allspark creates things, because everything he creates is evil. But then
Yeah.
at the end of the movie, I'm pretty sure that like the soda machine and all that stuff are then Autobots. I guess because Megatron died. But So it's like the capacity for change, I guess. You know, when we're created,
Well,
we're
okay,
inherently evil, but then we have the capacity to become something better. Right? Does that make sense?
yeah, I see what you're saying, but also it's interesting how like the cube creates the life, but also destroys it.
The cube giveth, and the cube taketh away.
All right, we're okay. Another thing, and this is a motif, I guess if you want to call it, throughout all of the movies, because you know like I can't remember which one, but I think it might have been three, but like Michael Bay used an IMAX camera, but just like whenever, so there's
Yeah.
like random IMAX shots.
Well, that's one thing I'll say. Whether you like the Transformers franchise or not, it is without a doubt the one movie franchise that is controlled by one distinctive vision, and that is Michael Bay. Because like he has final cut on all of these movies, which means he has the power to tell the studio no, and most directors don't get that.
And also, if you noticed, every now and then it would just be sunset out of nowhere, and then it would go back to like day.
Yeah. Well, there was one point when like the cop mech Decepticon was like chasing Bumblebee, and like when they leave the place, it's like daytime. And then in the next shot, it's nighttime. And I guess that could have been a time lapse, but I was like, wait a minute, that's not right.
Well, the first one I was thinking about was when the Black Hawk or whatever his name, Blackout, the helicopter.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, he's like flying in, and it's daytime, and then when he's landing, it's like sunset, and then it's like day again, and then it's night.
yeah. He's a
But
helicopter.
there's no like there's no way there it would took that long. It
You know
it,
what?
it just it's just
What probably happened was they got like daytime shots of a helicopter and like nighttime shots of a helicopter, but they didn't get enough of either, so they were just like, we'll just alternate,
as he
and
both.
no one, yeah,
All
no
right,
one will notice.
all right. Let's get into this. Let's stop goofing around. Let's get serious.
I don't know if that's possible, but we can try.
Um, but like I agree with your I agree with what you said about like this movie does talk about a lot, but I think it talks about a lot very little. You know, like
Right.
a lot of things are said, like a lot of different things are said, but there's not like a whole lot of substance to either one.
Well, so there are themes of this movie, and I had those written down. But before I talk about that, and this may be jumping ahead for you a little bit, if it is, I apologize. But this movie, I was surprised to see, as far as especially since Michael Bay is considered like the quote unquote American director, like every movie he's made is like very much American. I was surprised at this movie because it is very much anti-police. I don't know if you picked up on that or not.
I did not.
Because all right, so first of all, you have when Sam gets arrested, and then like the cops like leaning into him. He's like, "Oh, you're eyeing my piece. Do something about it. I'll fuck you up," or whatever he says. And
Are
like,
you on drugs?
yeah, so like that's like played for laughs, but the cop is like egging him on, telling him like, if you basically he's like, if you assault me, I have the right to beat you up. So like, the cop is like instigating violence in that
Yeah.
scenario. And then later you have the cop Megatron, I mean Decepticon, and on his car it says to punish and enslave, which on the actual police slogan is to protect and serve. So
Yeah.
obviously this is a Decepticon, but taking the protect and serve and changing that to punish and enslave, in America, especially nowadays with everything that's happening this year in 2020, is very, kind of poignant to, thing to come out of a Transformers movie, which I totally was not expecting. And then there was one more thing. Okay, yeah, yeah, yeah. When Bumblebee gets arrested by the army, he's like not fighting back at all. He's being completely compliant. But the army is like tasing him and like stabbing him and all this stuff. And Wiki's like, dude, he's not fighting back. So like the authority in this movie is very much violent. They treat Bumblebee like basically like the U.S. did to prisoners in Guantanamo Bay. And I get that he's an alien, but that could also be commentary on like how the U.S. government treats illegal aliens entering this country. And maybe Michael Bay wasn't intending to say all that, but the fact that it's all in there was making me go like, "Whoa."
So I agree with you that Michael Bay is like the American director, but I think I took a different turn like after that. So it started out as him being American, but it became that I think he's a lizard person.
Okay, he's an
Um,
alien.
yes, because there is a line. Not only is he an alien, but he is a superior alien who believes humans are inferior. Because
Okay, so
there's a line throughout the entire movie that I think suggests that.
so
And
so, are you saying that Mark Zuckerberg and Michael Bay are the same race?
yes,
Okay, excellent.
um, and it starts out with just the whole idea of Transformers coming from space, because Transformers are um, a superior race to humans. I mean, can we agree on that?
Well, I would say at this point they are, yes. But that Optimus has that quote, like we already said. Whatever he said, I already forgot. But the listener knows.
As the timeline goes, as they coexist, Transformers are more superior. Would you agree? Yes or no?
Yes,
Okay.
100%.
All right.
I can't turn into a car.
That well, you know.
That I know of.
Yes. Um, and I think it's not. I don't think. Let's see. Let me. I don't know if it's a. I don't know if it's like humans are puny or humans just aren't there yet. Because
Well, the first thing what I thought about was like,
the scene with Archibald Witwicky, and he says, and I mentioned this, the ice is freezing faster than it's melting. All
Yeah.
right,
So do you think that's
and
a side effect of Megatron?
well, oh maybe, but I was thinking that it's showing that like we aren't progressing fast enough. We're not
Okay.
up with the
It's a
times.
metaphor.
It's a metaphor. That's right. And then the first. Okay, all right, Tyler. I don't know if you caught this or not, but the first line that Bumblebee has, through his little radio, is greater
It's
than man.
Is it really?
Yeah.
I know he says it's a mystical bond between man and machine, but that might be later. That's the only quote I remember.
No, dude. Cause shit. All right. Let's see. And then like Megatron throughout the entire movie, and like all the Decepticons, and even Ironhide. Um, the quote I said earlier about him is that like throughout the entire movie, humans are continuously referred to as like lesser beings.
Right.
So there's more, but like I didn't write it down because I
Right.
forgot to.
I mean, that I would definitely agree with that. Can you hear my dogs barking again?
Yeah,
You can. All
yeah.
right. Well, listener, I hope you like hearing my dogs go crazy because I'm not going to edit it out. I don't know if I edited it out in the past or not. But yeah, the humans are definitely inferior to the Transformers, and but I think they have the potential, maybe not to be like a robot alien that transforms into cars, but I think they have the potential to grow, and that's like what Optimus was saying. Even though the Transformers are objectively a superior race, they still have different factions. You have Megatron, who's evil, and then Optimus, who's good, and I always thought that they were like actually brothers, but they might be like more metaphorical brothers, because at the end he's like, "I'm sorry, brother,"
okay, so
and
I actually looked this up because I actually watched all five of these like a few months ago, like during spring break. Um,
yeah,
And there's like, all right, let's see. There's like some deep lore to this.
Well, because I know there's other primes, but Megatron doesn't have prime in his name unless he like defected.
Okay, all right, all right. So the answer is no,
They're
but
not brothers.
they're not brothers. But this refers back to Cybertron. Let me. Um, so when the other primes made Orion a prime, which is Optimus's name before Optimus, that's why he changed his name to Optimus. They were brothers in war, like they were comrades.
Okay, so it's metaphorical.
Yes, it's like Anakin and
Obi-Wan.
Obi-Wan. You are my
Which
brother, Anakin.
that doesn't really destroy the point I was trying to make. It makes it a little less, you know, good. But he says, "I'm sorry, brother," and even if they're just symbolic brothers, they still represent uh like a dyad, to steal a word from Star Wars. They represent a dyad, and Megatron's the bad and Optimus is the good. And even though Megatron dies in this movie, he still comes back. So it's like, and even Optimus, I know this is getting away from Transformers, the first one, but even Optimus dies in basically every movie. So like, even though each of them keep dying, they keep having to come back to rise against the other thing. So it's kind of like this tug and pull of like good versus evil. Something will rise against. Does that make sense, or am I just rambling?
Well, yeah, it does. And if we want to keep using the analogy of Star Wars, I mean, the whole thing with Anakin was he was supposed to bring balance to the Force, not join the dark side. But by joining the dark side, he was bringing back the balance.
Right.
So, Optimus and Megatron may exist forever, but that's because there's got to be the balance.
Yeah. And them being symbolic brothers and them constantly coming back plays into what I think is a major theme of not only this movie but the entire franchise, and that is legacy. As I mentioned, in the other movies, we see more primes. I don't remember if the Fallen a prime in the second movie,
Yeah, yeah, he is.
and then
He's the one who wanted to use the big sun machine, and that's why the other primes hid away the Matrix.
the third movie has Sentinel Prime, who we think is a good guy, but spoilers, he's not, and he wants to use the moon or something. I don't really remember what happens. I just remember liking it. So we have like the primes, which like permeate this franchise, and that's kind of like a legacy because it's like a family, And then in this movie specifically, it handles legacy in a way that I think is very similar to one of my favorite movies, National Treasure 2, Book of Secrets, and that mainly has to do with Sam Witwicky and the relationship with his grandfather. So in National Treasure 2, for those of you that haven't seen it, first of all, what's wrong with you? But second of all,
Third of all, it's Nick Cage, so what's wrong with even more?
right? You can't do my man like that. But what National Treasure 2 is about is basically Nicolas Cage, Ben Gates. It's like my granddad supposedly helped John Wilkes Booth kill President Lincoln. I think that's not true. I'm gonna go find the gold city that's in Mount Rushmore or whatever, and prove you wrong. So he's trying to save his legacy. And Transformers, I think, is similar to that. Although Sam is not trying to clear his grandfather's name, what the actions of his grandfather have influenced his life and the adventure that he finds himself in now, because he holds the glasses, which are essentially the key to finding the Allspark. So it's like this legacy was passed down to him just because of his blood, you know. Because if
Yeah.
Sam doesn't have the glasses, he's irrelevant, and that's kind of my problem with like the fourth movie. Is like Mark Wahlberg's character. There's not really any reason for him to be the guy, but in this
Well,
movie, it very much makes sense why they have to go to Sam Witwicky.
well, in the fourth movie, he buys Optimus. So
Yeah, but that's it. Like the truck's just in his garage. But even in that movie, you have Mark Wahlberg and his daughter. So even the theme of legacy is still there.
And Bumblebee is still there.
Yeah. Which, okay, that's a major problem I have with this franchise. Is at the end of this movie, Bumblebee gets his voice back, and then they take it away. Why do they take it away? That makes me very upset.
Bumblebee can't speak.
Except he does in all the cartoons. Why
Yeah,
take him away? That's
but
so mean.
well, you misunderstand, Thomas. Did we just watch a cartoon or did we watch a movie?
We watched a movie, and it
All
makes
right,
me mad.
there you go. There's your answer.
But
The plot, Thomas.
the plot, yeah, okay, because he can't speak. That hurts the plot for some reason. But I don't like the second movie at all. But anyways, is that the one with like the big wheel transformer? Like the one that just transforms into a wheel? He was like, "Oh, I used to be a wheel." Is that the second one? Yeah, that movie's dumb. That's the one with like the robot that has the giant balls too, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, everything about that one I don't like, and it's got like I'm not gonna keep talking about that.
But it's
Anyways,
got the twins in it.
what
The
twins?
twins? Yeah.
Twin Transformers?
Yeah. The ice cream truck?
I don't remember that. I just remember all the bad stuff, apparently. But anyways, Legacy, right? I hope you can hear me. My dogs are going crazy again. Legacy. When we first see Sam Witwicky, he's giving a genealogy report on his grandfather, which obviously I just talked all about, the legacy he has with his grandfather. But that genealogy report is what kind of brought Legacy into my mind, because the kind of like what I talked about in the Mom and Dad podcast. Whenever someone's in a classroom and they're discussing something, I feel like the writer director chose to have that thing that's being discussed for a reason. In Mom and Dad, it was the planned obsolescence thing. Here it's a genealogy report. And it's kind of just played for a joke because he's like, I'm selling my granddad's glasses. Oh, I gotta get an A or I can't get a car. But he's still giving the report on his family history. And then later on in the film, we get to learn more of Michaela, which is Megan Fox's character, and she works on cars because her dad works on cars. So that's kind of like the passing down the family trade. And then we learn from John Turturro's character that her father was a criminal. And John Turturro says this line. He says, "You're a criminal. Face facts. It's in your gene pool." So to me, it feels like what Michael Bay is trying to say, or the writers of this movie are trying to say, is that you seemingly can't escape your genes. But Optimus contradicts that, as we discussed with the Allspark creating initially Decepticons. But if the Allspark creates initially Decepticons, then everyone's had to start out as a Decepticon, and they eventually became Autobots. So whereas the humans seem to believe, it's in your gene pool, you can't evolve past, wherever you were meant to be. The Autobots, as we established, the superior race believes that we can evolve past that.
Yeah, and we can say Ironhide's and Optimus's dialogue again. They're Ironhide. They're a primitive species. They're a primitive and violent species, and then Optimus. Were we so different?
Right. So, yeah, legacy, and the humans are decidedly dumber than the Autobots.
So it's interesting that you brought up Legacy, because I wrote about Destiny, which are not super different. They're different, definitely, but we also started at the same. We started at the same place
With Sam?
with yes, well, not only with Sam, but with
Classroom.
in the classroom, right? Because if it was Sam is not irrelevant, but it doesn't matter who Sam is. It matters who his grandfather was.
Right.
And so because, like you said, because he is his grandson, Sam is then, plot boy. And so that's why I would say, like, it's more Destiny. And then, if we take a look throughout the whole movie, I mean, there are just so many things that keep Sam from, getting to where he wants.
Yeah.
There's, he's having to beg for this egg. He wants a car that's not a piece of shit, but he gets a piece of shit anyway. But it just turns out to be Bumblebee. And the cascade of things and then Sector 7. And if they wouldn't have taken Bumblebee, well, then he probably would have never went to the Hoover Dam.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. It's definitely like the universe is trying to get Sam, or it's directing Sam to where he needs to go.
Right.
And that's kind of, you said earlier, well, why did Michaela get in the car? And you could chop it up to just, well, the plot needed her to get in the car, but you could also chop it up to destiny. And there's even a line later, once they know Bumblebee is Bumblebee, Sam says, 50 years from now, don't you want to say you had the guts to get in the car?
I wrote that down too. Yeah.
And that line, I think, plays into what I was saying and what you were saying. Because 50 years from now implies, the long time jump and the legacy. But then it's also you're supposed to get in this car, and if you don't, then you know that you're wrong. So she gets in the car.
Well, and so maybe that's why she gets in the car the very first time.
It was destiny.
It was destiny. And then here we are, 50 years from the original release of Transformers.
And as we're saying that, you could really chop up any problem you have in any movie. You just think, well, it's destiny. They're destined to do it.
And, I mean, look at the facts, Thomas.
Look at the facts. What are the facts?
But before, I have one other thing. I don't have a whole lot. Like I said, it's not, but I want to know if you agree with me. Michaela, in any, rom-com, Michaela is the girl that the main character wants at the beginning of the movie.
But then doesn't get it.
He gets someone better.
Yeah, I agree with that.
What's a movie that there's two girls?
Scott Pilgrim versus the World, baby! Mary Elizabeth Winstead!
Yeah, but he wants her, and he gets her.
No, he doesn't. He goes with knives at the end. Oh, wait, no, he doesn't.
No, he doesn't. Yeah, what are you talking about?
Okay, well, in the comic, he does. In the comic, he goes with knives.
All right, Thomas, are we talking about comics?
No.
Or are we talking about movies?
But in the original release of the movie, he went with knives, but then the audience was like, oh, we don't like that. So he went with Mary Elizabeth Winstead.
Okay, that's right. So try again.
I don't know. What about, I don't know. I can't think of one.
I can't think of one either.
It's just like High School Musical, but he goes with Gabriella.
Ooh,
it's got to be like a high school movie. What about
doesn't it happen in Clerks?
I haven't seen Clerks.
Did you watch the wrong Missy that came out? That has got two girls in it.
No, I didn't, but I know David Spade's in it. What about Frozen? In Frozen, all right? It's not a girl, but it's a guy.
Okay.
And then Hans is like, "Oh, I'm bad," and then she ends up with Kristoff.
Michaela is Hans.
Except they end up together.
Yes, and that's why. And that's
until she gets fired.
Did she get fired?
Yeah, she made fun of. She was like, "I don't like how Michael Bay directs me," and he was like, "Okay, you're fired." So then the third movie, it's a Victoria's Secret model.
And you know what? We like her better.
I don't know her character's name. I just know that she works for Patrick Dempsey. But we're not talking about that one. We're talking about the first one.
Yes. But also, there's a line, and honestly, dude, good job on Michael Bay and the writers, because when B breaks down the first time, and she lifts up the hood, and it's like, shh. And Sam's like, yeah, actually, I prefer when women work on my cars. She says, oh, wow, you got a high-rise double pup carburetor. And I was thinking about that. I was like, that doesn't sound real. But I looked it up, and it is real.
Well, it's very. Well, I wouldn't be surprised if Michael Bay is like a car guy, but that very much sounds like an innuendo.
Yes, it does. I didn't think about that. But also, I was looking, and it does not. I looked it up, and one of the first posts was a Reddit post,
Yeah,
and I
baby,
was like,
Reddit.
"Yeah, that's a real thing." And like, not only is it a real thing, but it's like a good, and it's like it's a good thing, and it's also like a standard swap for like that car.
Maybe that was Bumblebee's junk.
Like, is Dangalang?
Yeah, that's why it's an innuendo because it's not an innuendo.
Which, speaking of that, when Bumblebee lubricates on John Turturro, what is it?
All right, so like initially you want to be like, are you saying like actually what is coming out of the car?
No.
Okay, so initially like there's the joke or people everybody thinks that he's peeing on him, right? But then when Optimus said stop lubricating him, I was like, wait a minute, what is
Yeah.
happening? So
So
maybe he just meant like it's like a lubricant oil, but I don't think you put any kind of lubricant inside a car, do you?
I mean, like any like motor oil is like a lubricant.
Yeah, that was like clear, wasn't it? So like, there's like, what do you put in a car? It's like antifreeze, that's a liquid. Then you have oil, and then you have the windshield wiper fluid, and then you have gas. But
There's
presumably,
well, there's also like transmission fluid, brake fluid.
presumably it would have been gas. That's what I would have thought. But I wouldn't think that the Autobots need to gas up. So it's got to be like a bodily fluid for them. But so what bodily fluid? Well, I was gonna say what would be coursing through their veins, but it wouldn't be his blood because we don't pee out blood. But like they also don't eat, so they shouldn't have waste. I don't know. There's a lot of questions that I'm not gonna get an answer to.
But yeah, but I'm saying, what is the human counterpart?
Well, I mean, I would think pee, but since they don't eat or drink, there shouldn't be any waste. So then, like,
Well,
what is he
so
doing?
okay, so this begs the question. Well, right, what is it? Well, this begs the question. John Turturro, when they first go to Megatron, he's like, NBE1 stands for non-biological entity.
I mean, it's living, doesn't it?
No, non-biological.
I know it's like biological means living, so he's not living.
Right.
But they are. They're like aliens. Oh my god. This doesn't make any sense.
Well, okay,
I take
it's
back everything good I said. This is a bad movie.
what? No, Thomas.
Ever not.
Well, so there's like a few things that define. There's what was there? One, two, three, four, five, six. There's like six characteristics that define life. Let me look at them up. So, but what I'll say is I don't think that they are living.
Wait, they shouldn't even have junk because the Allspark creates them, so they don't procreate.
Well,
Sorry.
exactly. Well, okay, but the Allspark doesn't create them because, like, then in the fourth movie, there's like Quintessa, you know?
See, look, all these movies are the same. Like literally every movie, they have to get the same thing. They just give it a different name. And then in
Okay.
the fifth movie, Earth is a transformer, which doesn't make any sense.
Yes. Unicron. Yeah. Wait. So does that mean are we even alive,
I don't know. Probably not.
or are we just the cells living on Unicron?
Or like bacteria. But okay, the Transformers should have known that the Earth is Unicron. But then also,
Why?
what happens? What happens when the Earth transforms?
We all die.
Okay.
Okay, but the main thing why they're not living is because they don't reproduce, like you said.
So then what are they? They're just like robots?
Yeah,
Yeah, who made them?
Quintessa.
See, I don't
But
even
that,
remember.
but
Is
that's
that
the
is that from the
question.
fourth one or the
That's the
fifth one?
question. Okay, Quintessa is from the fifth one.
Okay, that's the one
And
I haven't seen.
at the end of the fourth movie, you
Mark
know how
Wahlberg tries a Bud Light.
yes, but also Optimus leaves in search of his creator.
And then he comes back because he always comes back.
Yes, because he's like, my creator. If you're out there, I'm coming for you.
And he comes back to Earth to kill us.
Yes,
Is the fifth one when he's bad and he's got purple eyes?
yes.
Okay.
But see, yeah. So they're not living, and like even then, Quintessa isn't actually the creator because he talks to
Like when
the
Tessa was a girl.
knights. Huh?
Well, what's the girl? There's a girl in the fifth one at the end.
Oh
Is
no,
that not
no,
Quintessa?
that's not. No, Quintessa is a transformer.
Oh. Well, it sounds like a girl's name.
It is. It's a female transformer.
Oh, okay.
Which there are not. There are a total of 4
Wait,
female transformers
if
in the
there's
entire
genders,
franchise.
why are there genders if they don't procreate?
Maybe there aren't. But in the fifth one, the knights are like Quintessa she is like bad.
Yeah.
But the only so we see Quintessa in the fifth one, and then in the second one there are the 3 motorcycle sisters
Yeah.
who can I point out all die.
Good. Oh. So no more girls.
So no more girls.
Michael Bay hates women. You heard it here first.
So yeah, maybe that's what the franchise is about. This is just Michael Bay being like women suck.
Except for that one Australian girl who like solved everything. Although, what did she really do, like in the grand scheme of things? Because I don't even really think
She didn't do anything. She got kidnapped.
their plot doesn't like affect what actually happens.
The only thing.
They call in the airplanes at the end,
What does she do?
but like the airplanes aren't even important because Sam is the one who kills Megatron.
Maybe she's just like a MacGuffin kind of thing. Like
I think if you cut out all of her stuff, I don't think anything would change.
Well,
Really.
she's kind of like if she wasn't there, then Sam wouldn't have like the same motivation, I guess.
What? What motivation?
I don't know. But
His motivation is to sell the glasses on eBay.
No, I'm
That's
talking about the
motivation.
third movie.
Wait, so if the Australian girl isn't in this first one, he doesn't have the motivation in the third one?
Oh, wait, no. I was no. I was thinking about Rosie Huntington Whitley.
No. I'm talking about the girl in this movie, who's the hacker girl.
Okay.
Like
No,
if you
because she's the one who gets the file and takes it to Glenn.
but what does that do? Other than he's like, my grandmama doesn't like police on her rug, which is another anti-police scene.
Because if she hadn't done that, then Secretary of Defense Keller wouldn't be at Hoover Dam.
To see the whatever.
Right. And Sam wouldn't have got Bumblebee back. Because you remember Matt Damon ripoff was like, he was like, give the boy back his car. And then Secretary of Defense Keller was like, I listen to what they say. These boys they don't like to lose.
She's just there to get John Voight to the Hoover Dam.
Yes. I think I agree with that. But she has to be there. She has to be there then. And so maybe like that's the biggest flaw of this movie is that like everything has to be there, but not enough for it to like matter, but just enough for it like we can't take it out.
Right.
You know?
Which another problem, we're not even like talking about deeper meaning things anymore. But like, okay, so Optimus is like, we can't go save Bumblebee because if we go save him, then his sacrifice will be for nothing. But the Allspark is where Bumblebee is. So if they just went to save him in the first place, they would have gotten the Allspark.
But they also, where do they go? They go somewhere. They leave with the glasses after Bumblebee gets kidnapped, and they go somewhere. Where do they go? They're like in the middle of the desert.
I don't know,
And then
because
they're
they
like,
did it. They drive
they're
past
like,
Bumblebee and they turn around.
they're like, okay, let's look at the glasses now. Now that we're in Egypt. And then let's go all the way back to exactly where we just were.
Yeah, I don't know. Which also, when they first land, is Optimus the one that like lands in the girl's pool?
No, that's Ironhide.
Okay. Well, because I was trying to think, Optimus doesn't look like Optimus until he like scans the truck. Which that's another problem I have with the movie version of this franchise. It's like them like scanning whatever car they want to scan. And I understand why, so they can have the new models in each movie. But why aren't they like constantly changing what they look like? Like why do they just pick the same thing?
Thomas. You
And
missed.
then also, why do the Decepticons have like hologram people in like the cockpit of the airplane? But then like the cop car doesn't have a hologram person in the car.
Time out. Let me think about the root word for Decepticon.
Deception.
That's right.
But the car one, he doesn't have a guy in the car.
Which car one?
The police guy. Is
Yeah,
there?
he does.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
When he
Okay, so why do they do that? But the Autobots don't.
Thomas,
Is it
what's the word? What's the root word of Decepticon?
Is it evolutionary? Also, Megatron never transforms. I don't think.
Because he doesn't scan anything.
Well, on the cartoon, he transforms into a gun.
Well, he does the thing in this movie. He goes, "Zoop, whoop."
Oh, does he really?
Yeah.
I don't know. I was probably asleep.
But the Autobots are not bad, so they don't need to deceive the They don't need to deceive the humans.
Maybe the reason the Autobots don't do that is so that Michaela had to sit in Sam's lap.
No, she had to sit in Sam's lap because there wasn't a seatbelt.
That's all right. That's the moral of Transformers. All right, always wear your seatbelt, no matter what, even if you have to sit in somebody's lap. That's the moral of the story. Also,
What's the click it or ticket?
don't trust alien robots unless they're good alien robots.
If there's a human in a car who looks like a hologram, don't trust it. Which, speaking of the seatbelt, she gets in Sam's lap, and she's like, "That's a pretty smooth move." And he's like, "Yeah," and then she's like, "I don't understand. If he's supposed to be this super awesome robot, why is he this piece of shit car?" And then he drives away, and then he comes back, and now she has a seatbelt. So for like 30 seconds,
Yeah, she doesn't get back in his lap.
Yeah. For 30 seconds, Michaela is sitting in Sam's lap, and then all of that's just like...
Right? So maybe Bumblebee wasn't offended, but he was just like, all right, you're not about to sit in his lap. But then at the end, they're freaking okay, at the end where they're like making out on his car, that would be like if I was asleep and like you and your girl were like on my legs or something, just like making out. That's really weird.
Well, okay, no. And all the Transformer like toys, the head is where the engine's supposed to be.
So so it'd be like if my head was under a pillow or something, and then like you and your girl's just making out on top of my pillow. Like that's really freaking weird.
Yeah,
And then
that's
like
what it is.
all of my buddies are like standing over there just watching it happen.
And then one of your buddies is just talking to himself.
Like in the corner.
It's
Because
just
like when that was happening, I was like, that makes me uncomfortable. That's like But I guess if they're not living, it doesn't matter.
Well, they're not living, so it doesn't matter. But like
So do they have emotions if they're non-biological?
well, there, like I said, there's like a lot of factor. Well, biological is different from sentience.
Okay, so they are sentient, but they're not living. Like
Correct.
they're self-aware, I guess.
Yes. Like AI. Like AI is not living, but it's sentient.
I don't even know what we're talking about anymore. I'm so confused. Oh, okay. I just looked at my notes. I wrote this down. When the Autobots crash, one of the kids is like, "This is 100 times cooler than Armageddon," which is another Michael Bay movie.
Was that a diss on himself or
I don't know, but like apparently a lot of people don't like Armageddon, and because it's like the movie where drillers get sent to space. Because
I haven't seen
I haven't either, which I think at some point we should do it. I've never seen it, but like drillers get sent to space because there's like an asteroid or something, and they have to drill into the asteroid to make it smaller, and then everyone's like, "Oh, well, why didn't you just make the astronauts drillers instead of making the drillers astronauts?" But the one scene I know from that movie is an animal cracker scene, which happens at the same place, I think, where they are at the tree, where like they're kissing on top of Bumblebee. I think that's the same place as the animal cracker scene from Armageddon. So
like the same location?
yeah,
Maybe.
so
Maybe. Hear me out, Thomas. Maybe it's they're in the same timeline.
so that guy was talking about the actual event Armageddon.
Yes.
Okay, which actually, I mean, I don't know if like things crash in that movie or not, because like we said, I haven't seen it. But then that would actually make sense because like he's saying like this asteroid, this robot landing is way cooler than that asteroid that landed, just a dumb rock.
Which and let me say this. I think that Optimus Prime is the is a time traveler. And I
Okay,
think that he is actually Steve Harrington.
from Stranger Things.
Yeah.
Okay,
And you don't want to know. All right, it tracks. Okay, think about how often Steve gets beat up.
why?
At least one good pound in each season. All right, think about how often Optimus Prime gets beat up.
And dies.
At
He
least
dies.
one good time each movie.
So at what point did Steve become a robot? Or maybe Steve is the creator, and he put his essence into Optimus Prime.
It's like it's oh holy
That's why
crap!
he's a good old boy.
This is just an analogy of the Bible.
Which part? The whole thing?
Steve, Stranger Things and Transformers combined.
No, I mean which part of the Bible? The whole Bible, or
Oh,
like a specific part?
just like the whole thing, but mainly Steve Harrington is God and
Uh-oh.
Optimus Prime is Jesus. Okay,
That's that's
because
blasphemous.
because Steve Harrington created Optimus in his image, just like God created us in his image. But Optimus was going to sacrifice himself, even though he wasn't supposed to be the one that needed to die, that should have died. He
Yeah.
was like, "For your faults, I will take upon your sin."
So it's a good thing you said that because I have one more thing written down that needs to be mentioned because I say it like 5 times, and that is no sacrifice, no victory. I don't have more to add to that. It's pretty self-explanatory, but they say it a lot.
They
So
do say that a lot.
it's probably important, but I don't really want to go further into discussion about it, so I'm not going to.
Uh, the only other thing I have, there's a lot of miscommunication in this film,
Yes.
and the first thing is when Fig is talking about going home. He's
Who?
like, Fig,
Who?
the Spanish
Who's that?
guy.
Oh, okay. That's been the army people.
Yeah, and Epps is like, man, we don't understand that shit. English, please. Um, the aliens speak different language. So you know what?
Just the Decepticons.
Yes, just the Decepticons. Um, the first big like scorpion attack, they're looking for a phone to try and communicate, and then there's like, you're going to need the premium plan.
Oh, also, I just remembered. I meant to bring this up with Legacy. The Matt Damon ripoff, Josh Duhamel. His whole thing is he wants to just see his baby girl. That's also Legacy.
I forgot about that.
Well, because he says it once in the beginning, and then we see them once at the end. So it's like barely in there, but he says
The other thing, yeah, the grandma walks in. Are you playing them video games again?
Yep.
And Glenn's like, "Shut up, grandma! Drink your prune juice."
That's why the Australian girl is in that movie, so we can have that line.
That's it. Just so we can have.
That's okay. So Transformers teaches us that you should always wear your seatbelt. Grandparents are the scourge of society, and Murr is tonight's biggest loser. Those are the 3 takeaways.
There you go. I got nothing else.
All right. So it's a Michael Bay movie. Tons of explosions. Tons of them. And I don't remember a specific instance of a person blowing up, but somebody had to blow up. There's no way.
Well, okay, dude. There are so many people died in this movie.
I was thinking about that in the final fight because they're like in the city, which I guess it's more destructive in the 3rd movie. But
well, and on like the bridge when they're fighting, when they're leaving Hoover Dam.
Oh yeah. Yep.
There's so many people that died.
The army people. And like all those poor technicians that were just like freezing Megatron, they're probably all dead.
They're all dead too.
So I feel like any Michael Bay movie automatically gets a 5. Just automatically. I feel like.
I don't know, because we didn't see anybody blow up. But there's the implication that they did. So I don't know if I can give it a 5.
How about the implication? So what about implied 5, actual 4?
Okay, I'll agree with that.
So it's like we have 5 things in TNT. We saw 4 of them blow up, and we think we heard the 5th one, but we're not sure. So.
But we're pretty sure that it did.
Yeah, and we're not gonna check on it. We're just gonna say it did and move on.
All right.
Implied
well, 5, actual 4.
I think that was Transformers. I don't know if it was coherent or not. I honestly don't remember anything that happened in the last hour. So
remember, kids, click it or ticket.
Click it or ticket. You wanna tell the people where they can talk to us and tell us why Transformers is the best movie ever made?
All right. You can hit us up. I don't want to hear anything other than Transformers is the greatest. If you do, I will come to your house and I will peel open your eyes and make you watch all 5 of them.
You'll start kissing somebody on top of their head.
Yes, that too. But you'll also have to be watching Transformers at the same time. And that's going to happen on Twitter at PacinoPod, or you can shoot us an email at PacinoPodcast@gmail.com.
If you have any Transformers slander, please keep it to yourself unless it is sent to me. I'm okay with reading your Transformers slander. I won't send it to Jake because he'll have a meltdown and cry himself to sleep.
I'll know.
But yeah, he'll know and come to your house. That's a real threat. So, Stout and Sauerkraut.
Stout and Sauerkraut.